Very good Monday to everybody. Thanks for clicking on to today's European Outlook. Thanks very much for the kind birthday wishes. I really did have a wonderful day yesterday, relaxing by the pool. Then we were planning to go out for a meal last night, but the heavens opened, the skies lit up with lightning, and we decided to take some room service. So a lovely lamb dinner. The missus had fish and chips, believe it or not, here in Kuala Lumpur, and it was a fantastic day overall. So a massive thank you to everybody for the kind birthday wishes. We continue to have a tremendous holiday here in Malaysia. We're going to be heading out soon for a bite of dinner, a little stroll around, and generally soak up the Malaysian atmosphere, hospitality. It really is a fantastic country to visit. I would highly recommend it, put it that way. So we obviously have seen a very cold past 7 days across the North American continent. Here across Europe, it has been a very distinct west-east split. We've had abnormally warm conditions for the month of February across really much of Europe, anywhere from southwestern Iberia all the way up to Arctic Scandinavia, where we did have 17 Celsius Hull. 17 Celsius at Hull, I'll say it right at some point. But we've had notably cold conditions anywhere from East Germany, Western Poland, through into Slovakia, Czech Republic, Hungary. Eastwards of there and southeast, we've seen very cold conditions. So southerly winds blowing up the western side of the continent, northerly winds blowing down the eastern side of the continent. Those winds blowing out of Russia and Ukraine across the open waters of the Black Sea, falling as significant snow over the high terrain of northern Turkey. And this was the scenes that we've seen. This is a tweet here by Hava Media of the epic snowfalls that we've seen over northern Turkey in recent days. True hardship for the folks here. The good news has been that it hasn't been a particularly cold winter. So certainly it has been a very active period over the UK past a couple of days or so. We've seen a deep area of low pressure down into the upper 940s and millibars, well to the northwest of the British Isles, it has to be said, but it's associated heavy precipitation moving in from a southwesterly direction has issued an amber warning actually for South Wales, with 80 to 100 millimetres of rain falling in a rather short space of time. We also seen winds in excess of 70 mile an hour in western portions of the UK. In fact, actually 80 mile per hour gusts in exposed coasts around Wales in the last 24 hours or so as well. It's really been that pressure gradient between 1025 millibars over southeastern UK versus that 949, 948 millibar low. Thankfully, the core of that low remained well to the northwest of the UK and Ireland. But it certainly has been an active spell. This is rain totals according to MeteoSeal over the last 72 hours. Generally speaking, it has been western areas of the continent picking up most moisture, thanks to that southwesterly winds blowing off the Atlantic. Where you can see here the moisture totals higher across northern Turkey, thanks to that northerly flow. We've had little meso lows spinning over eastern portions of the Black Sea, in combination with a near 1040 millibar high over Moldova. The combination of that low over the eastern Black Sea and the high over the far east mainland of Europe has allowed stronger winds to blow over the waters of the Black Sea and allowing the heavy snowfall the sea effect snow to blow into northern portions of Turkey. We looked at this in a little bit more detail in yesterday's live stream. So let me just see here what else to be able to show. We certainly will have a pretty back and forth. The Arctic oscillation is now firmly positive, as can be seen here off the the GFS ensemble, graphic. And when you look at what a positive Arctic oscillation means, it means that we're bundling the cold. We've got lowest heights up towards the North Pole. We've got a stronger jet. That generally is further north, allowing higher pressure and milder air to get lifted north into the middle latitude pattern. Generally a very westerly dominated flow through much of the northern hemisphere, with this low heights over top of positive heights. We're generally transporting our flow in off the Pacific and the Atlantic, flooding North America and Europe with mild air. When you've got the opposite, you've got a weaker polar vortex, you've got more release of that cold into the middle latitudes, and you've got much more amplified wavy jet orientation with this. But we're firmly in positive in terms of the Arctic oscillation. Also, the North Atlantic oscillation, as can be seen here, is firmly positive also. And then when you look at the upcoming 5 days of the GFS ensemble, you're generally speaking about low heights towards Iceland, positive heights towards Iberia and the Azores. That is your positive Arctic and North Atlantic oscillation. Playing through the sequence here, you can see that generally those heights remain fairly strong to the north. We've also got some fairly strong higher pressure within the middle latitudes left and north. You notice here towards day 11 through 15, we're starting to see those negative heights just dipping a little bit further south over both the North Atlantic, North America, as well as over Europe also. The reasons why that might be the case towards mid-March is the modelling is indicating quite a strong deceleration of the mean zonal winds. Now, these mean zonal winds have been predominantly strong through the course of the winter season. We've had a generally stronger than average polar vortex up within the stratosphere, at least anyway, further down through the atmosphere into the troposphere. That has been more stretched, but more favourable for North American cold as opposed to Western European cold. But that being said, even though there is some similarities to 2013, 2014, there certainly has been some spells of cold. For example, early January, we've seen the coldest January temperatures for the UK since 1982. We've had the coldest minimum temperatures for January since 2010. So that being said, despite the fact that the PV has been more favourable for North America, it hasn't been solely North America that has been dominated by cold throughout the past winter season. It has been quite a back and forth winter overall, with a mix of cold as well as mild, and also some storminess thrown in for good measure as well. But this general pattern favours a back and forth between high pressure versus low pressure. We've got the core, the mother of low pressure up towards the parent low, at least anyway, the trough up towards the north shore of Hudson Bay, in the Baffin Bay, for example. And these areas of low pressure are going to rotate within this trough up towards Iceland. As it does so, we'll see these back and forths in the pressure field over the UK and Ireland. As these lows pivot towards Iceland, we'll see a bit of a drop-off in the high pressure that is trying to exert influence on the UK and Ireland. Once that then lifts northwards, we're seeing the pressure rebuild once again over the UK and Ireland. So we're generally seeing this kind of flexing back and forward between low pressure and high pressure over the northwest of Europe as we move out of February and into the month of March here. And more on March coming up this week, by the way. We're going to be looking at that, and there also will be the March Outlook released later on this week as well, so stay tuned for that. But it's going to be an interesting one as we go forward, because when you look at the ECMWF, this is the 10 millibar temperatures, so the upper levels of the stratosphere in terms of weekly anomalies. Upcoming week, you can see here, and then we move into week 2, week 3, you can see here that the warming anomalies are shown up over the top of the pole. Now, if we move on to the GFS operational, this is how things are looking. So this is the anomalies here, 10 millibars. You can see here plenty of cold stretched from Hudson Bay all the way across the top and into Central Asia. Plenty of warmer than average over the UK and Europe. Now, play through this loop. You notice here that we're starting to see another burst and surge of warming out of Central Asia, right the way across the top. Again, trying to do its very best at splitting, displacing, and greatly weakening the polar vortex. The significance to this may be, and we've been here before and nothing's really materialized, especially for northwestern Europe. The significance to this may be that towards the middle and second half of March, we start to see the return of more blocking over the Arctic region, and the possibility of, instead of expecting, and as you would expect, to see milder conditions building through the month of March Obviously, days are growing increasingly long. We're starting to shorten the length of darkness overnight. But this sometimes can be, and we've seen it back during the course of the weekend, mild conditions, 17 in Hull. But we could go back 2 steps after going forward when you have these strong warming episodes taking place within the stratosphere during the latter half of February into the month of March here. We can go back to, kind of late winter conditions when this and could materialize. So we'll wait and see what happens anyway. There's certainly plenty of things to keep an eye on as we move towards the final days of meteorological winter. Like I say, I encourage you to check out the scoring of the winter forecast that was released back last week. In terms of the Mount-Julian Oscillation, not a great signal. It is currently largely in the null phase at the moment here. There is a little bit of an uptick in the phases 1. There was a few days ago a rotation shown by the model into phases 2 and 3. Once you get into phases 3, you tend to find that you look towards a more active jet, especially if in North America starts to turn colder. With a phase 3 MJO in combination with a cold North America, you can have a stronger jet and a consequential low pressure train enhanced into western areas of Europe. But there's not a particularly strong signal for that just at this very moment in time. Finally, looking at the European view of the GFS ensemble within the 5-day increments anyway, and this is how it's looking over the next 5 days. Lower pressure towards Iceland, higher pressure to the south and east of the UK and Ireland. Generally a mild westerly or southwesterly flow as a consequence. Playing through this loop, you see again low heights getting lifted even further north. The positive then gets lifted further north as well. That is generally a mild situation overall. When you look at the temperature anomalies here, upcoming 5 days looks like this here. Then the following 5 days, the 6th through 10, indicating generally milder than average conditions. But we will keep an eye on this here within the 10 millibar level of the stratosphere as we move into the month of March. We may have a kind of Atlantic-driven mild first half to March, possibly something colder, something slightly more settled perhaps during the second half. So these are the initial ideas that I've got for the month of March here, but a little bit difficult to pinpoint at this moment in time. So keep it right here on the channel, absolutely free, 7 days a week. Despite being on holiday, there is still a video every single day. So I would greatly appreciate your ongoing support as we move towards meteorological spring. Just going to see here if there's anything else that I can show before I head off. No, that is it. Enjoy the rest of your Monday. See you again tomorrow with more. Bye for now.